Welcome, Third Rock listeners, to the Branding Laboratory. I'm your host, Deevo, Chief Experience Officer for the Brand Storyteller and the Fusion Creative Brands. And each week, I have the privilege of speaking with extraordinary leaders and entrepreneurs who are reshaping the way industries work. These conversations go way beyond the surface to explore the core philosophies, the lessons, and the challenges that define the brands that we admire today. And one of the greatest rewards of this podcast is the opportunity to share the insights of some of the brightest minds in business, people who are passionate about pushing boundaries and redefining what's possible. And as I always say, the stories we tell are the brands we build. And this show is a testament to the power of that concept. Let's dive in. So, on today's episode of the Branding Laboratory, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Tim Shaffer. He is the co-founder, president of SearchTires.com. And I explored his innovative approach to reshaping a really old industry, the tire industry, by empowering and sourcing local tire retailers through his website to get results and purchasing from the retailer directly to the local retailers as opposed to the online e-tailers that he calls them. So it's like a twofold mission. He wants to educate and inspire local tire searchers like ourselves who are just buying, like local consumers, and then simultaneously drive us with informed results directly to the local tire companies. So it's like a win for everybody. And we're going to talk about his mission for SearchTires.com, which was really cool. How he came up with the idea, which is really cool, sitting in a hot tub in Aspen, Colorado. You don't hear that every day. It's amazing to me how many people have these epiphanies just when they least expect it. And Tim's going to tell us about his. And his mission and his mantra is supporting local retailers and helping users like us and ensure that we get the best possible deal on our tires, which if you've bought tires before, it's a bit of a headache. And you just throw your hands in the air and say, go handle this for me, which is what I do with my tire mechanic. One of the standout moments, as we talked about Tim's values, his experience, and the dude's own, I think he's on his fifth or sixth company now. So he's got a massive amount of entrepreneurial experience and really dove into how he got to where he was and his origin story and his values and all the things that he's doing really well. So if you want to hear about a really cool, unique entrepreneurial journey that's focused on community, sustainability, innovation, this is what you're going to find in this episode today with Tim Shaffer. So thank you for joining, and sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, welcome to the Branding Laboratory. I'm your host, Deevo, and today we are talking about how a company in a traditional industry is empowering local businesses and changing the way consumers buy tires. That's right, tires. My guest is Tim Shaffer. He is the CEO of SearchTires.com, and he is spearheading a really cool, and by the way, it is really cool, innovative platform that is reshaping a very old and timeless industry with a focus on transparency and a community-driven business. And Tim, welcome to the Branding Laboratory, my friend.
Thanks, Steve. I'm looking forward to it.
So you started this company, SearchTires.com. How many years are we in business now?
About 3 years.
3 years, well done. And being a car driver, I obviously have to deal with tires on a regular basis. And a funny story, just want to go back to my childhood. My dad was really cheap, or frugal, as he would like to say. No, but he was cheap. Let's just call it what it is, bro. You're a cheap ass. But he used to make me go around. This is a true story, man. He used to make me, first, before I could drive, I had to get on the telephone, the old school one telephone that we have in the house with a 50-foot cord. And right. And I would have to,
mangled.
yeah, it was always mangled up. And I had to get on the phone through the yellow pages and find every tire distributor in my town and call them and ask them if they held a specific size tire for a specific type car on a specific size. And since my dad was such a cheapskate, like he thought it was a negotiable thing, that I could tell them how much we're only willing to pay X. And some people are like, dude, but the tire costs Y. Well, this is not a negotiation.
Right.
So anyways, then I'd have to make this copious list of all these places. And then we'd get in the car together and we'd have to literally drive around every single. And I'm like, dude, by the amount of time we just spent going to all these locations, you've actually worn down whatever new tires you possibly have. It's like, you basically are defeating the purpose of this story. So
Right.
the purpose of my thing is you have this new business, SearchTires.com, which is a very innovative platform that's allowing sort of both sides of the equation to work to find an optimal solution. Am I explaining that properly, or can you give me some insights on how you got going on this?
Yeah, so basically it's a very fragmented market, and still today it's still fragmented because the people that are smaller in business, it's really hard to get to compete against the bigger people because it's hard to buy that ad space, right?
Mhm.
Ad space is they with Google, you bid on it and you have to get in front of people. A lot of these smaller business can't afford to build a website, make it really actionable and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff around it. Years ago, I come up with the idea in like 2009. I was sitting in a hot tub in Aspen skiing, and I heard this guy talking about kayaking. And I'm in the tire business forever, and I'm sitting there thinking, why don't we have something like that for tires? Why would no one do it? And believe me, through this process, I know why. Because taking the data, all different vendors, and normalizing the data so it can be displayed properly and the people can make actionable they you can make it actionable for the people. So basically we started searchtires.com, and basically people put in the size of their tire or year, make and model and trim, and they go through and it shows you your local retailers and the lowest price or the highest price for each tire that there is out there. It's really easy. You can click to call, click for directions, or click to their website to make an appointment. It's really that simple. We don't charge anything, and that's it. We're completely free. So, like Alex Hormozy says on marketing, he goes, make something so simple that people feel stupid not to use it. So the bottom line is we're about helping the consumer make a educated decision on their tire purchasing quickly. Most of our people are on our site 4 minutes and 11 seconds. They went through, they seen the tires, they picked the tire that they want. It may not always be the right one, but it gets them to the local retailer to be able to explain, hey, you do highway driving, this might be more better. But the thing I like about it is we're also empowering communities because a lot of these e-tailers out there, and they sell tires online, they ship them to the thing and then they have them shipped on. That's, to me, that's like bringing your steak to a restaurant and having them cook it. I'm really about trying to get that community to get that back. They've taken 12% of a $58.8 billion market right now, which is a big chunk. I want to get it back to these local retailers that hire local people, sponsor local little league teams. They're involved with the cities and stuff like that. So that's the driving force behind it. Now, when I started it, I thought it would be much easier than it is.
Let me stop you right there for a second. So the business model is simple from what I'm hearing, is to make tire pricing transparent for consumers like me. Are you still there? You look frozen. Tim, did we lose you?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what happened. Yeah,
All right, you're back.
yep.
All right. What I heard you saying is like your mission is pretty simple. You want to make tire pricing accessible, affordable, and understandable for just the lay consumer like me that doesn't have to go through all the red tape of working with a giant. And are giants to you, is that a discount tire? Are we talking even smaller, more local than a discount tire?
Well, they have brick and mortar too, so I want to encompass all of them that have brick and mortar. The ones that there's a place for e-tailers, I call them e-tailers, the ones that sell online for specialty tires. Sure, there's a place for that, but the local people that say they need tires, I don't want them waiting 3 days to get tires. I want them to find their local retailer, go down and get them tires put on. And by the way, we save the average person $180 on a set of tires.
All right,
So in
before
this,
hold on home, before we get to that, I just want to
yeah,
make sure I'm clear on the distinction because I don't personally understand it yet. So I want to make sure that my listeners do.
okay,
So you have two camps of tire sellers. There's what you're calling the e-tailers, which are large online giants that you can go on and buy a specialty tire. They ship it to you. Then you take that tire down to somebody else who puts it on for you. Is that sort of what I heard? That's one model.
yeah, and they can ship it to the retailer too. They can
Okay,
ship it to the retailer.
got it.
They're an installer.
Got it. So I would buy my specialty tires from an e-tailer. They would ship it to myself or to my discount tire, for example. And then
Right.
discount tire is going to charge me a fee to put those on, et cetera. And then plus I'm paying the fee to the e-tailer. So that's one business. And then the
Yep.
other business is the local companies like a discount tire, for example, or there's O'Michael's is here in Charlotte. We have a couple of
Yep.
other Callahan's is here in Charlotte. And so I
Yep.
would just go straight to them or even my Toyota distributor and buy my tires. Is that what I'm hearing you say? So that's Model 2, or does Toyota fall into the big camp?
No, yeah, that's fine. Anyone that has a brick and mortar store, I want to deal with because
Got it.
they're supporting the communities by hiring people, that whole thing. Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, cool. So I get it now. So thank you for that breakdown. So your idea basically empowers the customer to be able to buy their tire and then at the same time empower the local retailer who is selling or the local brick and mortar who's selling them. Okay, get it. So how are you making your money? How do you make profits?
So we don't make profits yet. So what we do is we're going to have, as we roll out and get bigger, we're still fixing all the little nuances. And before it's a complete great experience for the advertiser, we're going to start letting Michelin and companies like that advertise online, banner ads. We're going to make money from that. We're also going to make money. We're going to have feature spotlight retailers. We're in every DMA in the United States. So if they want to sponsor a DMA, they can have sponsorship for the DMA. But the beautiful thing about it is we're agnostic. We're not beholden to anybody. We just want the best for everyone. We're not owned by anyone. We're self-funded, nothing. So the key to what we do is we want to provide people with the correct data in their area and let them go down to the brick and mortar and get their tires put on. It's really that simple.
All right. So thank you for that breakdown. And I want to talk about this pricing model and revenue model in a minute if I can. From my perspective, and I don't know anything about the tire industry, brick and mortars came first, right? And then e-tailers came second. But who holds the power right now in the industry? The e-tailers are a larger conglomerate because of, or is it just they're choosing to? Sorry, go ahead.
E-tailers have 12% of the market right now. 12% of the market is e-tailers. And then conversely, in between, it's going to be a Discount Tire or Mavis that's going to come next.
Got it.
Regardless, so it's 12% of the market, but 12%, and it's gaining every year. So that's the issue. And
The
what I
e-tailers
see-
are gaining.
yeah, the e-tailers are gaining.
Mhm.
They're good marketers and they're good, and they carry product. They make deals to have installers. So the key back again to me is just I want people to be able to go online, find that tire at a local retailer, click for directions, click to call them, click to go to their website, make an appointment, and go down and get it at your local retailer.
So
It's
is it cheaper to buy tires from e-tailers than a brick and mortar? Just initially the tires themselves?
no, that's a misnomer. Actually, it's cheaper to buy in your local market because and you can get them today.
Yeah, no, I see your value proposition. I love it, but I'm just trying to understand right now why a consumer would choose an e-tailer over going down to a brick and mortar. Is it just the convenience factor? I can go online and have tires?
That's one of the things. And the other thing is too is they're master marketers. There's no
Mhm.
doubt about it. They
Mhm.
market great. They make it seem like they're the least expensive. And in some cases they are, but again, going back to your local, supporting your local community stores and your people that work there, I believe that people buy from people. And when people go online and they do, that's because there hasn't, I'm going to tell you something that's really weird. We're the first company that's ever did this, that made a price comparison model for this. And I see some of the things why it's like that. But think about that. It's no one's ever done it. And I don't know why. It's such a huge market. And buying tires is the most confusing thing for the layman person that don't know about tires. They don't want to buy tires. It's a pain in the butt. And
Yeah.
usually when they find out they need tires, they find out when they're in a shop, and then you want to quickly go online and you can see if you're getting the best price. Or maybe they match prices. Most of them do. Hey, I found this here. Okay, we'll match that price. These are the key factors that drive me in doing what I do.
I got it. So first thought, and I just sorry if this is a dumb question. I don't believe in dumb questions, but have you ever considered taking a program to each of the local tire resellers that are brick and mortars
Mhm,
and doing a shared? You mentioned that the reason the e-tailers are so good is they're masters of marketing.
mhm.
What if you could get your local brick and mortars to all sign up into sort of a tire consortium where they all spend a specific ad spend to also work with the marketing company to help drive traffic to their storefronts? And it's like a split revenue model commission type thing.
So it's funny you say that. So really, our next step is so they won't have to spend money on that when they give us their information because a lot of them aren't online, so they'll have to give us their tire pricing information so we can display it. We display it and make them the feature retailer of that DMA, and usually that, let's say Charlotte, that's a DMA. We will advertise for them. They won't even have to pay that cost. They'll have to
Perfect.
pay to be on it. But you know what I'm saying?
I understand. Yeah.
That's giving them awareness in the market that hey, we're here and we sell tires too.
Yeah, totally. So have you already tested this model out with a client and just to see how that works? That
Absolutely.
you know that you can generate traffic for them?
Yeah, we did a test. We did a test.
Tim, you're frozen again, brother.
And when you see the average tire,
Hang on. I didn't hear anything you said. You froze on me.
okay,
All I heard is we did a test and then you
we
froze.
did a test and we provided them 1,200 customers within a month, and the average customer spends $749.
That's brilliant.
on a
So
website.
you were able to generate 1,200 new customers for a local brick and mortar?
Yep.
Bro, that's like a no-brainer. I don't know what you're I don't know what you're charging the local companies, but you should be charging a shit ton more than you are. If that's the case study you built, that's a maximum investment ROI on your return. So brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the platform, one of the things that one of the things I loved about your story, which is why I agreed to have you on the show, is you talk a lot about community and you talk about connection and you talk a lot about transparency and really to enable putting the power back in the consumer side. So I'm assuming that you talked about this day in Aspen. By the way, you got to use that story all the time. I was in a hot tub in Aspen, chilling out maxing. That's a story, man. That's a pickup line right there. So
Yeah.
so when you're chilling out maxing in the hot tub with your honey or whatever you're usually doing out in Aspen, you said you heard a guy telling a story about kayaks. Tell me a little. What was that story, if I may ask? What were they doing that made you have this epiphany for yours?
So that's when it come out, and really that's when they came out and they started getting traction. And the guy was like, I went on kayak and I saved a bunch of money on this, and I got to compare all these things. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm never
kayak, the travel agency.
travel agency.
Got it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you meant it was like a kayak. I'm
No,
like,
no,
what are people doing in the recreational kayak world that I've not heard about? Okay, sorry,
no.
forgive me.
So yeah. So then he said that, and I'm like, why don't we have that? And through the process, I've figured it out. It's really arduous with all the data that's out there. We collect 2 terabytes of data a day. So just storing that data is ungodly. But yeah, but it needs to be done though. And I have the wherewithal, and we're self-funded, like I said, and our other businesses are very successful. So we're able to do this and provide. I look at it as providing a service for now, because we've never charged anyone nothing yet.
Kudos to you, but yeah, at some point I would see there's definitely a revenue model for this, and it's
Yeah.
probably different programs I would imagine based upon the brick and mortar's budget and what they're looking for, the amount of clients they're looking for, et cetera. I'd imagine you would have different types of programs that I, as a retailer, could buy into for you to manage the advertising to generate traffic to my storefront. That's the direction.
Yeah. And the thing about that is that if you look at the way people go to market, and everybody does this, like they're getting into the market and they want to do this, our service is, like you said, it's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Hey, sign up and we're going to provide you this customers. And we've been gathering data along the way so we can prove that out. So we just don't say it. We're like, hey, here's the numbers, and that. So there's a data buildup that you have to do to get credibility, so you can go in there and confidently say, I can go into your market and I can do X. So
And I'm assuming you're building out these case studies so when you get ready for this, you have this information to share with individual brick and mortars. Bro, you're frozen again on me, my friend. This is why we used to do in studio interviews.
yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I
Hey,
didn't.
you
I mean,
broke it. You froze again.
yeah, we're having a thunderstorm down here, and it is.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll cut everything out that
Okay.
gets snafu'd. So I'll just ask the same question again so that my producer can hear this. So I'm assuming that once you get ready to make this a revenue model, which I'm assuming you are at some point, or maybe you're not, is this just going to be your
Next
fill in the
month.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm a tire brick and mortar. You would have case studies for me to look at, but you would also have viable programs that I could get from you in terms of my advertising spend, the amount of clients that I can expect in my ROI, yada yada. Is that kind of the direction you're going?
Yeah, exactly. And just to let you know how we do this kind of stuff, I don't know if you're getting to that, but when I set out to do this, I like to hire the best people in the market. So I have ex-employees from big companies that have done this very well. So that's what makes us
The
successful.
e-tailer. So you have e-tailer employees.
No, not e-tailers. I'm talking about people from
Ah, got it, got
stuff
it,
like
got it, got
that
it. Okay.
that have done this, and that they're out of there. They maybe worked there for over 10 years and now they're on their own. And these are the type of employees that we like. And then interestingly enough, so the
You got to
search,
hire me.
yeah, the search market is really big. And I'm going to tell you this, within a year, within the next year, with the ad spend we're going to spend and what we're going to do, we're going to own 60% of the search market.
That's
So when
amazing.
we do that, we are the source of tires. So when we become the source of the tires, that's the value. Some people see value in business as revenue, but there's another source in tires, it's market share. Market share is a value too. So when you own 60% of a market that big, that's a big deal. So that's,
And your market that you're referencing is your search results market that you're going to be owning.
the tire comparison site. Yeah.
Uh-huh, understood.
60% of if 60% of the people are using it, and
Hmm.
380 million people are buying tires a year,
Hmm.
you're controlling a pretty big span. That's like a influencer having you know, tens of millions of followers.
So you said there's 383 million.
386 million, I believe, people that buy tires a year.
So that's 229, almost 230 million visitors that you're gonna expect to go through your searchtires.com website in any given calendar year.
Not not within the first year, but the years following, yeah, we're building up to that point, and our spend is that much. And the SEO that we're building out is another SEO expert from the field that we have. If you look at a regular company like a e-tailer, a tire rack, they have 400,000 backlinks, right? So that's a huge number. And our next iteration we're building out for Search Tires has over 3 million pages that will be indexed. And the reason for that is because we're agnostic. So we can have every city, every state,
Mhm.
every retailer, every tire, every brand. We have all that. And then when you start shuffling through all those templates and all the people can search for, that's just millions of pages that will be
Yeah.
indexed. And that's how we get to the point where
I
we'll be.
love it. You're a very forward-thinking CEO. A lot of guests that I have on here don't really understand sort of the algorithm around search results and social media and all
Right.
those things. So well played. What's your background? You mentioned that you had other businesses that are helping fund this. You're all self-funded. Were you all? I think you said at the outset you're already in the tire industry, which is how you got into this space to begin with. But
Well,
do you own other companies that you're involved in? Is that what I heard you say?
yeah, I was in the tire industry for close to 30 years. And what I mean by that, I was only 10 years in corporate and I ran a huge section of a large company. But before that, when I first come out of the gate, I started working on cars and then I started my business. Then I owned three of them. I sold them, made an exit, went to work for corporate America, come out, built three more, sold them. And then I got into
What
digital marketing.
industries are these businesses that you're selling?
So they're tire stores.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So,
I thought you were going to
so
say you had an OnlyFans page. I'm like, wow, well done.
So yeah, so that's how I learned. That's how I really learned by paying attention to the customers. Because when you listen to the customers, people say they're always right. They're not always right, but hey, they give you good information to found something on. So then I did that, but then I got after that, I got my partner. We got into digital marketing, and we do digital marketing right now for some very big companies. So that's what gives us the freedom to be agnostic and not owned or ran by anybody. We pull money from those companies and we put it in this company. Yeah, so that's how we basically do that.
So you're a serial entrepreneur. What
Yeah.
would you say if I were just in a conversation with you around your philosophies of running a business? What would you say is at the center of your philosophy? Whether it's tires, whether it's in any other industry you're running in, what would be the core philosophies of Tim Shaffer?
Two, convenience is king and everything is 100% about people.
Mm,
It's really that simple. People want convenience, and people that think no matter what business you have, it's always about people.
sure.
It's always about people. And if you can make things easier for people,
I
there
want
you
to
go.
unpack that for a second because you said the customer is not always right, and they're not. And I say the same thing, by the way. But you do still have to listen, which I love, because
Yeah.
even if they're wrong, you can learn about how you might have perception is reality. So
Yeah.
even if the customer is wrong, as a business owners, we can still listen to that and say, okay, there's some disconnect in their understanding and our understanding. So what can we learn from that? And I have a lesson for that my own right now. I have a client right now who we've been working with for a little while, and my operations director Melissa's okay. We just need to listen because there's some sort of a gap in what he's expecting and what we're delivering. So even if we're right and he's wrong, which of course that's the case, I'm just joking, even if that's the case, his perception is his reality. And so somewhere along the lines that we've not communicated effectively. So when you see those sorts of things, you said even though the customer's not always right, we still have to listen. Break that down? What does that actually mean to you in terms of a
So
strategy to deal with them?
so it's how you shift the narrative, right? You got to shift the narrative. So they say, like a customer may say, a lot of customers say, I can find that cheaper somewhere else. That's their go-to, right? Oh, you're not giving me the best deal or all this stuff. So what what Search Tires does is when people go there, they see it. So they know that you're not, hey, okay, so that was in your back pocket. So even if you think about this, if a retailer is standing on a counter helping the customer says, hey, it's cheaper somewhere else. And he goes, let me show you something. And not like he's not trying to be standoffish. He's like, this is searchtires.com. It shows here's everybody's prices. Here's
Mm-hmm.
us. It gives them tools that they need to not just close a sale, but to inform a customer. And that's it. And that's really what we need to be doing. It's about changing the narrative because as coming up through, and you're not as old as I am, but coming up through the years, mechanics and tire shop always they got an awful reputation. And you know, and some is valid, some is true, but then there's some that's really not true for a lot of people. So
Mhm.
let's balance that field and show, and transparency. I believe transparency is trust. Let's balance the field and show them,
Yeah,
hey,
I love
this is
that.
what it is. And that's what I tell retailers when they like, oh, I don't want to display. Why? What are you
Mhm.
hiding?
Mhm.
Transparency is trust. You show these people, then they're going to be saying, "Oh, okay, I see what they did." So
So how, I'm sorry, just a quick question, technical question. How are you able to aggregate all this data if you're working nationally, even if you're just locally? How are you
mhm.
aggregate? Do you have somebody who's going out doing all this data research on a daily basis and accumulating tire prices, or are these aggregate prices? Like, how are you
No,
pulling all this data in so that people can get the real time results?
we never stop. We pull them in all day, all night. We're aggregating prices all day and all night. We
That's
have
brilliant.
a team of 8 people now. It started with one guy, and he said he was overwhelmed. I go, "What do you mean? It's easy." He goes, "It's 2 terabytes a day."
Oh yeah, it changed, and I imagine it changes on a daily basis with
It
discounts and
does.
sales and all the things that
Oh,
have it.
yeah, because we do promo codes. We want to make sure everybody's getting correct pricing. So promo codes, if they're $60 off a set, we want to let them know because
Yeah.
that's real.
Man, I understand the data thing. Long story short, I used to manage this is way many years ago. And thank you for saying how young I am. I'm actually not, but thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna tell my wife that you said that. I used to have to. I had a project and I worked in mobile home management, and what we did, the company that I worked for managed the financing of these mobile homes, and we also did collections on them. And so this was all over the nation. This is 65 offices, and I had to manage the repossession side of that. So and this was before technology. We were doing this like on paper and like the old DOS green screen computers. Remember those? And so my job was to take the green screens and the paper tablets that these local country agents from all, we're talking like deep Jackson, Mississippi, Biloxi, like
So
Alabama.
you have the green road, the print
Oh,
offs, the big
yeah. And so it was a 2 year project. We had to take all of this paper data and all of the green screen migrate mainframe data and put this into an updated database that was working on like updated technology. And dude, back in those days, these are like massive files. So I have full respect on what you're doing, like being able to aggregate all that data, keep current on that data, and then be able to get it back to the retailer in real time. That's a massive project.
Yeah,
So
it
well
is.
done on that.
And that's
So
why no one does it.
yeah. So that actually might answer my next question. There's a lot of different, and I was just Googling before I came on the call or yesterday before I was preparing for the show. There's a lot of different people that sell tires online in different capacities. What sort of separates searchtires.com from these other online retailers, in your opinion?
We don't sell anything. We're just trying to help a customer get the best price. Simple.
Well, yeah, you're not selling anything yet, but you are soon
We're not selling tires.
to the retailer.
Yeah, we're not selling tires. We're just advertising.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and we do it by DMA, and we can go down to zip code. And then the other thing on the backside of that, as we're talking about data, so I can share a little bit more. So we don't collect people's names or anything like that, but we do collect all that data, and we do have all that data, and that data is very valuable. We're really a data company that's helping consumers. And by the way, I'll share something that's really it's to me it blows me away that I never thought about the data part of it because I'm a data junkie. But we were building this for a year before I even said, "Hey, we have all this data." And then I started researching that, and the data is the most valuable part. So if we
Mhm.
can, so at any given time within 2 miles of where I live right now, there's the same tire in one retailer and another retailer, and the price difference is at least $100. Think
Mhm.
about that. So if I can provide, that's another thing I can provide retailers, data showing what that pricing is so they can be more aligned with their pricing and more competitive, because that's where people get that. Do not having data analytics at companies. This company has no idea that they're $100 more than anybody else, and they think they're doing great. But when someone buys them $100 tires and then finds them somewhere else for $100 less, and there's no returns on tires, by the way, because you're driving on them,
Yeah.
that's what has the trust issue. So if we can help these retailers say, hey, we've already built out these dashboards, by the way. Hey, there's winners and losers. This is where you're like way off. You're like $100 more. You need to
Totally.
take action. It's actionable data again. So it's data.
I love that.
And yeah, that's
What's the long term gain you hope to establish in the industry by building this platform?
I'm hoping to help the consumer be better prepared when they buy tires and know what is really out there in their communities. And being able to make that choice and choose who they want to. And also, secondly, help retailers understand the data and what everybody else is at so they can have a more level playing field so people can really buy from people and they say, hey, I really love you, Jimmy. I've been coming here for 20 years, but these tires are $200 less over here and times are tough right now. I need to save $200 when Jimmy might not be able to give the $200 discount. These are problems that I'm trying to solve, and some people won't be happy about it and some people will. But the bottom line is this industry has been under scrutiny for so long. I'm trying to be transparent as anything to help consumers understand what it's really like in this industry and to help retailers understand what the consumers are seeing and why they have that opinion. If
Mhm.
I can bridge those gaps and make them closer, I've done my job.
You mentioned that you have a digital marketing background. What are some of the biggest challenges you're currently facing right now in the branding and the marketing world in terms of getting a larger message out to a larger group of people?
That's tough because it changes all the time, but we just stay consistent on really our company, our other companies do a lot of charity work with veterans and stuff like that. And then also if there's hurricanes, we'll give a 2-day sale and we'll donate all the money to the hurricane thing. So that's some of the things. But the challenges that we see is that they move the goalpost every day in digital marketing because we email a lot and we have people that opt into our brands. We have over 15 brands right now. They opt in and we email a lot. And certain companies, depending on your message, will suppress your emails that's going out. I'd like to say that's not true, but it is.
Yeah.
So that's our challenge. So how do you overcome that? How do you make it get your point across and still deliver those messages? And yeah,
Are
that's
you using the companies that you're planning on? So let me rephrase this. Are you collaborating with any of the companies whose tires you're selling in essence for them on your searchtires.com platform? Are you collaborating with them in any capacity? So whether it's going to be part of a future program or part of a shared collaboration where you're endorsing different types of people or giving them ad space or visibility space, whether it's on your social media or your website in any capacity?
yeah. So we're communicating with most, if not all of them, pretty much all of them. We let them know what we're doing because, and we let them know actually before we launched, and we've continued to grow and grow, and we've stayed in contact. And we said, hey, we're doing this for free now. And we did a couple tests with a couple of them just to show them what we could do. And eventually we're going to do something. I think that's important to do. I don't think that you should just come out of the box, especially with a comparison site, because people say, oh, it's a race to the bottom, because that's what they initially said. But you know what? Honestly, most people aren't buying the cheapest tires. They're buying the best value tires. And so it wasn't a race to the bottom. So these are misnomers that can be proved by data that they never believed because you know why? They only had their data. They didn't have other people's data. And you know how their data can be affected?
Yeah.
If they have a salesman on the counter and he's not that good and he just deflates to just the cheapest tire. Oh, let me get you in this cheapest tire because it's the easiest sale, right? Not putting them in what they really need. Sometimes that happens, especially in this day and age, because it's not like the day that I used to stand on a counter. We used to ask a bunch of questions of the customers to get what they really need and then provide them with those solutions. That's not as done as much anymore. I think a lot of people they take that they don't want to have them discussions and they just give them the cheapest tire and then the people think they're happy, but when they go out and they come back 10,000 miles later and the tires flat or tires are worn out, then they're not happy. Yeah, these are so part of it's educational too. And we
So,
train in it too.
so when I first go to your website on searchtires.com, and by the way, we're speaking with Tim Shaffer from searchtires.com, you have your tagline at the top says connect with top tire dealers in your area. And then underneath, it enables me to search by my car year, my make, my model, my trim, my zip code, et cetera, and then search tires. Are those what's the best way to say this? Are those true data results, or do you have Instagram does they skew the data so that you're only allowed to see certain types of things? So that's real time, real search results, no skewing to it. I get to have a snapshot and a profile of exactly what I'm looking for based upon my search parameters.
Correct. We never skew anything. We don't. That'd be a whole nother level of QA engineers we need to do.
Yeah, I asked because nobody ever thought that the social media channels would do that, and look what they're doing now. I'm just going to put I'm putting one of my cars in right now. I just want to see the results and just go from there. It says make the last field says NA, and what does that mean? There's
That's
no
your
zip code. It didn't say
zip
that.
code.
Off the bat, it didn't say that. It said NA, just FYI. I'm not sure
It
why.
takes a while to load. That site is, we're getting ready. We have a V2 getting ready to come out probably within the next 2 weeks. That site's been up for 2 years right now, and we've been giving all of our stuff to the other to the new version that we're building out.
All right.
So
So then right off the top, it gave me, oh wow, this is great. So then I can search, I can sort, I can based on warranty, I
yeah,
can based. That's great. Wow, this is really cool. And then it shows the different shops in my area.
yep.
So this is great. So ideally, the programs that you would be selling to, and I just hit view 75 shops for a minute. Ideally, the programs that you would be selling, if you are going to move this to a revenue model, is you would charge them for A being on the site, but doesn't that then conflict with the data results you're giving if they don't pay for it?
No, so we wouldn't charge them for being on the site. We would just charge them for sponsorship of a DMA. So if they want to buy Charlotte, it's X amount of dollars. We'll give you a little banner ad up top that says feature spotlight retailer of the month. And then we'll put your tires, just like Google, we'll put you under a sponsored thing and put your results at the top. And then they can scroll down to get unsponsored and go from lowest to highest. Everything defaults from lowest to highest for us.
I'm wondering again, you didn't ask for this, but I'm just wondering, is there a way to have a paid service based upon testimony reviews from users who actually went to the store that found the tires on your site, and then based upon that, delineate the search algorithm results based upon, okay, these are like our highest paid or highest rated servers, and so therefore we're going to promote them a little bit higher in the algorithm, or does that go against what you're looking to do?
It'll probably still be low to high, but we do have, so we're gonna have a retailer directory on the next one, and we will have ratings for each of the retailers based on feedback to us. We're not getting third-party feedback because sometimes how that goes,
Yeah,
people
yeah,
pay
yeah.
back from people. If we have probably over, God, I think we have north of 11,000 reviews already that we haven't published on that site, but on the next site, we're doing that because we're using that data to not rank retailers, but grade retailers.
Hmm.
That's fair, right? I
Yeah, I
mean,
think so. I agree.
it's real. It's again, it's a transparency thing.
Hmm.
Hey, if you let someone leave your store mad, then why didn't they're mad? Why wouldn't you ask them how do you fix that?
Yeah, totally, totally. Tim, again, we're speaking to Tim Shaffer from searchtires.com. I think this is a really cool concept that you've built and definitely a need because everybody has tires. And just speaking from experience, trying to navigate, I just give up and I just let Mike, I have a Toyota and I just, because I trust the mechanic there, I've been buying Toyotas from him for almost 25 years now. And so they've always taken really good care of me. And his name is Chip. I was like, Chip, I just need new tires. Just tell me what's the
Yeah,
best for this car. But I can certainly see if I were to be more involved, when I should be probably, but I don't. I would want to use a service like this. So I think it's a really fantastic concept.
yeah, people buy from people just like you buy from Chip. That's the thing. Like when I ran shops, people bought from me. But the whole thing is too is that uh, the fact of the matter is sometimes you could go into Chip and say, "Hey Chip, look, I found this lower price. I want to buy from you." And then Chip can say, "Okay, let me give you a discount." You're still saving money.
Dude,
Anything you put in your
dude,
pocket is better.
100%. Like I already see how I'm going to use this. And although I know Chip wouldn't necessarily try to screw me over, he might
Right.
not be armed with all of the information that I could be as a consumer to come in. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate the resource here. Tim, great conversation, great product. Thank you for sharing your insights on how searchtire.com is reshaping a really old industry that probably could use some innovation. And what's really cool about it is you're supporting local businesses at the same time, but
Yep.
also helping retailers, just regular people like me, figure
Yep.
out how to do things a little bit better and be a little bit more informed, which is a win for everyone.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if you want
It's
to find Tim's website, go to searchtires.com. He's got a new version coming out. What's the schedule on that in the next couple of
probably
months, we
within
think?
2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
be out with
brilliant.
the version two
Brilliant.
that will blow your socks off.
Tim, your focus on transparency, your focus on community, your focus on helping buyers like myself be more informed is a great mission and a great mantra. I really appreciate you coming on the show today to share your story and your vision, and I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Yep. Thanks, Deevo. Really appreciate your time.
Be sure to subscribe to the Branding Laboratory on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a review. I love feedback. Keep it nice. And connect with us on social media. Deevo, the brand storyteller on Instagram, and the same handle on LinkedIn. And if you're looking to elevate your brand, head over to thebrandstoryteller.com. That's me, that's my company. And we can help you tell a better story to find a better audience that really deserves to hear the difference you're making in the world. I'm Deevo. That was Tim Shaffer from searchtires.com. Thank you for joining us today on the Branding Laboratory. I know you have choices when it comes to listening to podcasts, literally millions of them. So thank you for giving us your ear and your insights. And if you have any comments, drop them below. Thanks for tuning in to the Branding Laboratory. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Connect with us on social media for more branding tips and insights. And remember, your story matters. Until next time, keep building and sharing your unique brand story. I'll see you soon.